Okay, so starting at the very beginning, we hear this breathing with a dark screen, which kind of pushes us towards a more negative side, along with that music in the background. The movie initially sets out a very eerie, um, almost scary type vibe from the very beginning, with a little explanation of what it is that's going on. Cuts to what looks like a very very dark scene and a dying girl. What's interesting though is that they're playing the scene in reverse, which kind of pushes the audience to believe that this is going to foreshadow or might depict the ending in some sort of way, that the movie will start prior to this. And it opens with the narrator as if it is a fairy tale type story, which we see get played on throughout the entire movie of fairies and things of that sort. Then we have this dark underworld, again, a very dark tone to the movie itself, and little girl running away from it. And throughout the entire movie, we see that this natural, just dark tone. A lot of scenes happen in the dark, whether it be underground with the fawn or with the captain at night. A lot of just dark scenes throughout the movie. The princess left the fairy realm into the reality, and she suffered and she died. But the soul would return, and we have these two realms initially set off. We have the fairy realm and we have the real realm, and then it cuts to people driving, and we see the black vehicles, which typically resemble darkness and just evil, not good stuff, and then into a fairy tale with a young girl reading.
No entiendo para qué has traído tantos libros, Ofelia. Si vamos al campo, al aire libre. Cuentos de hadas. Ya eres muy mayor para él.
There we go, right there. We have the young girl reading the fairy tale, and her mom telling her that she's way too old. So it's clear that she's been reading these for in the past, and she still continues to read them. And we know just reading fairy tales is a way of people being able to escape their reality and just mentally put themselves in another realm and just escape something. So it could be possible that she is escaping from something um, now into this fairy tale realm, and it could be so bad that's why she continues to read these fairy tales um, up until this age that she's at, where her mother believes she's too old to even be reading these fairy tales. So she's trying to escape from something. We don't know what it is yet. Um,
Llenarte la cabeza con tantas zarandajas. Di que paren el coche, por favor.
but we do see so far in this scene, ever since we left the dark scene, a lot of green, and I know green represents life and growth. Even the young Ophelia is wearing green. I believe that could be played on that she is so young and there's potential for a lot of life in her, and that she looks for that life in these fairy tales. We also see that they're being driven around, so this gives them some sort of authority that they are important to somebody. So why would somebody who's being treated so um, luxuriously, I guess would be the term, like royalty in a sense, want to escape that reality and then enter the fairy tales into something to escape something, to escape some sort of pain, maybe possibly in her heart.
Ofelia, déjame un momento. Tu hermano no se encuentra muy bien.
She is literally walking away from pain in this scene, um, off to something else. She's looking for something else. So then something kind of leads her to this stone in the middle of this forest. They happen to have stopped right at the perfect time. In the earlier scene, when the narrator was speaking, opening up this sort of fairy tale type story, we see that he talks about her soul and how her soul will eventually come back. So this could be the soul in her just naturally wanting to do these things that, as souls get depicted in movies and stories and such, as they just naturally will go where they are supposed to be, like a predestination type deal. So she seems to be completely unafraid. I know I personally would have been very scared of something just popping out like that. I believe it's her. We even see the smile on her face. She seems to be very happy in that moment, almost a euphoric type, just grin and smile. And she happily tells her mother about this fairy that she's seen, fulfilling the type of um, fairy tale thing that she seems to be into at this old quotation mark age, where she seems to be reading. And her mother brings her right back to the reality of, hey, your shoes are dirty. And we see the expression on Ophelia's face as she just looks off. With the daydreaming type feel to it. And we see this get played on throughout the entire movie where Ophelia wants to leave reality, and she does. She gets with the fawn. She gets with the little fairies that are with her. And I believe this is very important at the very beginning because it establishes that there are two different realms. That Ophelia, this one character, is trying to leave the realm that she's in and be at the other realm in the fairy, whether it be reading the fairy tales or seeing fairies. It seems to just bring her joy in her heart with the others around her, her mom and the guys, bringing her back to her reality, where she actually is. And I believe that this is important. This was played on by the director from the very beginning, and that this gets played on throughout the entire movie.